What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into episode number 460 of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's KB and Matt coming at you on this final day of August with another episode of the show. We got a lot to dive into, from the Phils, the Eagles, the Union, and Matt, we got tribe names for Survivor Season 43
Okay.
and a teaser trailer.
Okay.
September 21st. Survivor is back, so we'll dive into that at the end of the show for the real ones.
First day of fall, right?
Yeah,
Autumnal equinox.
gotta
Or is it
survive.
solstice? I think it's equinox, right?
I think it's equinox, and then I think summer or spring is
Summer is solstice.
solstice.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, summer and winter are solstice.
Yes,
Autumn and
spring,
spring
or
are
equinox.
equinox. There we go.
It's a car name too. Equinox.
Chevy Equinox, baby.
Before we get started, make sure you're following us on the socials at Underground PHI on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Castorina. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com, for all of our written content. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. But leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Apple and Spotify. It goes a long way for more people finding the show and more people joining us underground. And, of course, subscribe to that Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, where you get full video episodes of every single show on our network. We're on that Road to 1K challenge, and later on in the show, Matt and I are going to come up with our leg for the Road to 1K Gauntlet challenge. We did our announcement on streamer season, Matt. Dylan, once we get to 1K, will be cosplaying as a character from a show that we have watched and reviewed on streamer season. And when we get to 1K, I will be taking the plunge into season 1 of Game of Thrones.
Good luck.
So there it is.
It's a roller coaster that only goes up and then very sharply down.
And I haven't watched it because the real ones know. I was subjected to my parents' room to watch Game 7 of Sixers-Raptors rather than sitting in my superstitious playoff seat for the games that you and I were not at during that Raptors series. And we all know what happened in Game 7, so I swore off Game of Thrones, that being a jinx. But, I feel like enough time has passed, so if we get to 1K, you'll subject me to the roller coaster that is Game of Thrones, along with whatever we come up with on this show as part of the Gauntlet Challenge. But subscribe to the YouTube, smash that like button, ring the bell icon, and, of course, comment down below your thoughts on the Phils, the Sixers, Flyers, Eagles, Union, and anything else in between. Big thank you to our sponsors who make this show happen: Main Auto LLC, Ducharme's Pro Foot, Security 21 Security Systems, Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated, and the Dental Wellness Center of Vineland. Tomahawk Shades, the best small batch eyewear in the game. You guys can go to tomahawkshades.com, get those sunglasses, blue light glasses, prescription lenses, and everything else in between at tomahawkshades.com. And when you go to checkout, use our discount code USP. You get 25% off your entire order at tomahawkshades.com with code USP at checkout. That's 25% off your order at tomahawkshades.com, code USP. Kenwood Beer, with arguably the best merch drop lately of any brand. Those Kenny rope hats now available in their store, along with a It's a Bad Day to Be a Kenny shirt, which I feel like is the trend for every alcohol brand now, but Kenwood Beer shirt is fantastic. That Kenny blue is undefeated. Go to kenwoodbeer.com, check out the merch, and of course, use the all-new and improved Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. Stock up for your NFL season, your fantasy drafts, all that good stuff. But you got to be 21 or older to do so, and of course, please drink responsibly. And our pals over at Bino. Go to binoboard.com, and Matt, seems like every day they're dropping a new board over at Bino. They are launching new World Cup-inspired boards every single week of September.
You love to see it. It's a great way to build it up, baby.
The new board just launched today at 6 o'clock. Looks pretty sweet.
It's very clean. We got the Qatar-themed box. That was a German field, I guess you would call it. Field of play.
Every single board comes with that World Cup Qatar-themed carrying case. It's the Germany edition, and they will be dropping a new board each week leading up to the World Cup. So go to BinoBoard.com, get your hands on that. The Ultraviolet board sold out.
Sorry.
So if you missed out, sorry about that. The Gila Monster board's still available, but the new World Cup boards, go check them out while they're hot in the streets and use our code BINYOUSP for 10% off your order at BinoBoard.com. What's going on, man?
I am just living the dream.
The Phils are living a nightmare, which on this show is canonically known as a dream.
Yes.
Arizona, late in the season, just not meant to be out there.
What the hell, guys? That's my question.
I have seen a lot of people chalking it up to the last two games or when Bryce Harper started calling Rob Thompson Philly Rob. They are 0-2 in the Philly Rob era, so we need Bryce to denounce Philly Rob and just go with Tomper.
Mr. Thompson, perhaps.
Just a tough performance out in the desert against the Diamondbacks. Embarrassing performance on Mikal Bridges' birthday.
How dare you?
Just tough, but I'm kind of chalking it up similarly to that Cubs series out of the All-Star break where it's just one of those series and you go into September and hopefully reverse the September jinxes that have plagued this team over the past 3 seasons where April through August, you're well over 500, and then they've been below 500 in September since 2017. Not great optics there, but September's a new month.
Yes, that is the most real statement you might get tonight. September is, in fact, a real month. It is its own month. I think what you said is important, too, about the Cubs series right after the All-Star break, where if you had taken the temperature of people then, the sky was absolutely falling.
Oh, yeah.
This team was not making the playoffs. It was embarrassing. And you just look at the difference now. I don't want to take away all context and meaning from the performances from this team, but I do feel a little it's a little chicken little. Yes, it's not great because the Diamondbacks clearly not a team that has a ton to play for, should be beating. I think sometimes people take it to the next level in terms of self-aggrandizement.
Yes.
It's just, come on. We're going to be all right. It's two bad losses to the Diamondbacks. Overall, though, if you look at our schedule the last, week and a half, I think you'd be happy with the wins and losses that the Phillies have chalked up. Ideally, yes, you'd like them just to win forever. I would love that. I would love that if the Phillies won every single game they win, but we have to be realistic too that the team's going to have some hiccups along the way, and that they're still one of the top teams in baseball. I don't know how else to say that either. They're still firmly in control of their own destiny with the playoffs, and yes, you'd feel better with 1 or 2 wins picked up against Arizona or that Pirates loss, but it is what it is. I don't know. You can't dwell on that kind of stuff too much in a 162 game season. It just feels weird to lose your mind so much. Is it frustrating? Yes. And again, I don't want to excuse them for these losses because they should be winning these games, but I think sometimes the reaction gets so... I think because people have been hurt so much by the Phillies that it's the switch is very easy for people to hit to go to the complete other side for overreaction.
And so many people view it, especially now that it's close to football season, so many people view baseball losses for whatever reason like it's a football season where every game is so meaningful. Like you said, there's 162 games. It's 2 bad losses. And if you want to look at it from this perspective too, you've lost 3 in a row. The Braves have lost 3 in a row. It's not like the Braves have gained...
This is the one annoying thing is we are destiny bonded with the Braves somehow. Where every time we'll go 14-3. Be like, well, the Braves went 15-1 actually.
Yep.
So sorry, you actually lost ground somehow.
Here's my excitement about this though, is that staying even right now with where we are in the standings with the Braves, those two Braves series that are left on the schedule, 3 in Atlanta, 4 in Philly, they're going to be like playoff atmospheres in both cities.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because obviously moving up to that next spot in the wild card could be advantageous. Yeah, I mean, you're going to start thinking a little bit too about your seed placement, who you maybe would like to play, who you'd like to avoid, home field advantage perhaps, between the Phillies and the Braves. That could be an interesting matchup. So there's a lot to play for still. Again, and listen, they still got the Diamondbacks tonight. Maybe things work out for them, but I think the concern is too, you have the real concerns is Wheeler's out with, and then maybe they're just being careful, but that is not particularly inspiring.
I believe I saw an update about him today.
Is he on 10 or 15?
It's weird. I think it started this year with the new CBA. Position players, the injured list is 10 days, and
right.
Pitchers is 15.
Yeah.
So no matter what, the minimum for a pitcher's 15. But they said Monday that Zach Wheeler's eyeing a return next Tuesday.
Okay.
So this coming Tuesday.
And you know what? Fair enough. We'll give him that. That's what the Marlins series, I think. So
I believe so.
Yeah, it's not great. I think the bullpen. You've had this weird ebb and flow with the bullpen all season. They have not been amazing in the recent weeks. Knievel being out has not helped, but they made a transaction today, right?
They traded for a minor league pitcher.
Like a dart throw, at least.
They also signed Chris Davinsky to a minor league deal as well, and he's with Lehigh Valley, so he could get called up tomorrow for.
And that's the other thing too, is that tonight it's still, they have to be on your roster right before September to be
eligible for the postseason, and then tomorrow is the new September call up where you can only add one pitcher at a time, and then position player. I think it's only like 2 additional players get called up, so we'll see who the Phillies add for the September stretch run. It seems like the way that it's being written about and talked about, Davinsky's going to be potentially on the block to be that pitcher that gets called up. And let's also not forget Zach Eflin is apparently on this road trip with the Phillies out west and could be joining this team for the stretch run in the bullpen as well, which I think is huge.
That'd be a nice shot in the arm for sure.
So I mean, there's still reinforcements coming along the way. Brandon Marshback hit his first home run last night in a Phillies uniform, which was great to see. But yeah, just bounce back against the Diamondbacks, and people will brush these losses to the back end, and I think all will be forgotten against Arizona if you go out and play well against the Giants this weekend.
Absolutely,
especially with that added enhancement of it's a Gabe Kapler series, and people feel one way or the other about Gabe Kapler to this day. So if you go out and play well against the Giants, take 2 out of 3, sweep them this weekend, all will be forgotten about this Diamondback series, just like it was after that Cubs series.
Yeah, and if not, it's just like the worst time of our life.
Yeah.
No pressure, no nothing. Just no
biggie.
A lot of mental health being laid on the line here.
Because you look at the schedule the rest of the way. I know we do this a lot, but you have San Francisco after this game against the Diamondbacks Friday, Saturday, Sunday. No Monday games in September at all, which is interesting. Then you have a 6-game homestand against Miami and Washington. Then you go on the road against Miami and Atlanta for 6. Then you come back home 2 against Toronto, 4 against Atlanta. Hopefully you get revenge out at Wrigley against the Cubs for 3. You have the Nationals on the road for 4. And then you're on the road still to end the season against the Houston Astros.
I'm blocking away that Washington series, September and October, as that could be the series that I could see the Phillies needing to win, 5 out of their last 7, to maybe move past the Braves, right? I could, and I think that's
because who the Braves play that weekend?
The Mets?
The Mets.
Meet the Mets. Meet the Mets.
Because in all honesty, with 7 games left, you're 7 games behind the Braves right now. There's still an opportunity for the Phillies to potentially end up as the first wild card, which is wild to think about. But it is in the realm of possibility with the Braves' schedule in September. They play Colorado the next 2 days. Then they are home against Miami. Then they go on a big West Coast road trip. 2 in Oakland, 3 in Seattle, 3 in San Francisco before they come to Philadelphia to play. Or I'm sorry, before they go back home to play the Phillies in Atlanta. Then they have 2 against the Nationals. Then they go on the road 4 against the Phils, 3 against the Nationals, Mets in Atlanta, and then they go to Miami to end their season.
Just saying, it's possible. That's all. That's all we're saying.
It's still in the cards.
I feel like people have also lost context that the NL East has become like the best division in baseball somehow.
I said both East division, the American League East and the NL East are like the top 2 in terms of competitiveness.
Absolutely. Nationals aside.
Yes.
Of course, we'll concede the Nationals.
And Marlins, April through early July.
Yeah, but you have 3 70+ win teams, all in the same division, and that's not very common. I mean, you look at any like power ranking, you look at any even just standing ranking, like you have 3 teams in like the top 10, all in the same division. That's I think we lost. I don't know if we give that the credit it deserves, for fighting through that, because it has not been an easy season in the division. And it's not going to get easier.
The AL East also has 3 teams with 70 wins.
Yeah. Let's just hang out with the. It's like the NFC West, AFC West from last year in football. Where it's just like, I don't know what to tell you. There's 4 teams in each division that are all good.
So anyway, I mean, it's in the card, and like when we looked up the way that the wild card's going to work now, like that top wild card gets home field advantage for the entire 3-game series,
which is big. That's a big trinket to hold over someone's head.
And I feel like an atmosphere for the Phillies being the number 1 wild card, first playoff series in Philly in over a decade.
First Bryce
playoff series, first Wheeler playoff series against a division rival.
Getting goosebumps thinking about it.
At a sold-out Citizens Bank Park.
And make it a $1 dog night.
Come on. I feel like that is leaps and bounds a massive swing in terms of home field advantage as opposed to a Braves team. Not that their home field advantage is any less, but, Phillies haven't had a postseason game since 2011 at Citizens Bank Park, where the Braves just had a World Series happen last year.
I thought this season got canceled.
That's weird. Right. I forgot. That was just a nightmare, which is a dream.
Technically, a nightmare is a dream.
Just a bad one.
I don't like to think of it that way, but there it is.
Let's take a look at the NL East run differential, brought to you by our pals over at Pickup. You guys can go to playpickup.com, start playing the hottest headlines in sports, get in on those NFL early season props, wins, losses, touchdown predictions, who makes the playoffs, who misses the playoffs, passing yard props for quarterbacks, rushing yard props for running backs, you name it, they got it at playpickup.com. You rack up points on your fan profiles, you cash them in for prizes on the Pickup Marketplace. It's free to play. Anybody can play, and you just sign up with your phone number. Go to playpickup.com now and start playing those headlines. The Braves still leading the way with the run differential, Matt, at plus 137. The New York Mets at a plus 126. Phils have fallen off a bit these last 2 games, but they're still at a plus 64. The Miami Marlins at a minus 77. And that stolen franchise officially finishing under 500 Washington National squad at a minus 220, which is still the worst in all of baseball, but not by much, because they are joined by the Pittsburgh Pirates now in the negative 200 zone with a minus 201 for Pittsburgh.
At least they're not the only one in the 200 section. I think you can take some solace in that. Trying to look at the other just bad. Tigers have a minus 135. A's with a minus 146. Yikes.
A's are minus 146 and have the same record as the minus 201 Pirates.
I love when it syncs up that way.
That just shows how stupid this Pirates season has been. They have outperformed and won way more games than they should have.
Yes.
Dodgers with a whopping plus 287. First team to 90 wins as well.
Christ. It feels like we haven't talked enough about the Dodgers this year.
Yeah, it feels like the Yankees got the limelight for most
Yankees
of the year.
but even then, the first half of the Yankees, I don't know that people were talking for as good as they were.
Yeah.
I feel like and as obsessive as people can be about the Yankees, I feel like it probably didn't get as talked about as much. And I feel like we're not talking at all about the Dodgers and just like what a meat grinder they are.
You know who I feel like we're not talking about at all because we spent so much time talking about the Yankees, so much time talking about the Mets, and like, oh, how great would it be to be a Subway Series World Series? It wouldn't be. It'd be fucking miserable. The Houston Astros have the best record in the American League with an 84-47 mark and a plus 160 run differential. Like, they are quietly just cruising along.
They're the middle child.
Ready to meet the Yankees in the ALCS and just put them back in their place like they did in 2017 and bang some trash cans in the process.
Hold on now. Don't make any enemies.
I would want nothing more than the Dodgers to just wipe the floor with the Mets and then the Astros to wipe the floor with the Yankees.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I'd like to see the Padres. If it really out of the NL, the only team I'd be happy other than the Phillies to see go far is the Padres.
Yeah,
I'm kind of neutral on the Dodgers at this point in my life. I don't really care.
The Dodgers or whatever.
The Mets, I would absolutely hate myself. The Cardinals
100%.
would make me sick. The Braves, I couldn't live with. I couldn't live with that again. Back to back? Are you kidding me? I think I'd
could not do
be
it.
circling the drain on that one. AL, Cleveland, Tampa Bay, Seattle, Toronto, really any of them. Yankees and Astros, no thanks, but
Minnesota, if they get back in the mix.
if Minnesota find their way, if the Orioles somehow,
That would be fun.
if the Orioles back into a playoff spot, I'm going to lose my mind.
What is the situation with the AL wild card right now? So
Orioles are 3 games back. Twins are
Still
3
doable.
games back. So
I'd root for the Mariners too.
I would absolutely root for the Mariners. 100%.
It's going to be cool because, knock on wood, it seems like the Phils and the Mariners are both going to get in the playoffs and end the longest playoff droughts in baseball this
Who
year.
would have it?
I believe it's the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim who are looking to sell their team.
Yeah, well, maybe just sell it to Mike Trout.
The Ohtani Angels of Anaheim.
Yeah. Or just name it the L.A. Ohtanis.
That's 2 teams in baseball that are allegedly looking to sell. I don't know if you saw the stolen franchise is looking to sell
I did,
as well.
yeah.
I feel like it's so rare that we get a professional sports organization like ready for their owner to like sell their team. You know, we joke about it a ton with our teams, but it seems like it's been far and few between that we've actually seen like teams get sold recently, and to have 2 in the same sport is pretty wild.
Yeah, I think baseball, too, is an interesting sport in that aspect as well, with, like, ownership.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not quite as, like, lucrative maybe as some other sports, but it is very consistent. Like,
Yeah.
and I would say, like, much more institutionalized in a way. But those are 2 teams as well that I think you kind of have you have some work to do.
You have some work to do, but I think it also benefits that they're in populous markets with, you know, L.A., Anaheim, and then, you know, Washington, D.C.
Yeah, L.A. you'd have to do some work there because you're always going to be the second team.
100%.
Clipper syndrome to the max, and then D.C. in every sport is tough because it's such a transplant city. No fault of their own, but so many people just move there for work and things. So it's always hard to build, like, I think an actual. You add in the fact that Nationals have not been around for very long.
And, you know, they just get rid of their best players.
Yes. Well, hopefully that would change with ownership.
Very true.
Just sucks that
They went
ownership
back-
might change after they've, just let go of a bunch of generational talents in the last, 5 years. But
The tinfoil hat came on for me today, Matt. With the World
does
Baseball
it ever come
Classic.
off?
Valid, especially with baseball. We've been talking about the World Baseball Classic roster and just how loaded it is. Add Phase 2 in Trey Turner to Philadelphia. Trey Turner is confirmed #all in on the Team USA roster.
Just saying.
Just joined the
maybe
squad today.
Sit around the poker table a little bit, have a little chat.
Kick back with Bryce and JT.
It's just the boys hanging out.
Just boys being boys, you know.
Just being dudes.
putting on the old red, white, and blue again with Bryce?
I don't know.
Just saying.
Just something about that feeling.
Seems very Team USA basketball with KD and the Warriors.
Just something about that feeling, you know?
Something about that World Baseball Classic. See the hitting coach? It's Ken Griffey Jr.
Well, I'm in.
The coaching staff was announced. The manager will be Mark DeRosa.
Okay.
Which has me very excited. He's very, big personality. World Baseball Classic. Let's see here. Trey Turner confirmed today. Also, Will Smith, the Dodgers catcher, all in.
I was going to say, he's banned from the Oscars, so he's putting the time in somewhere else at least.
Keeping wives' names out of people's mouths.
Smart.
Kyle Tucker from the Astros is in. And I believe since the last time we recorded, Tim Anderson from the White Sox is in, and one Mookie Betts is all in. The outfield for this team alone is just ridiculous with Bryce, Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, and Kyle Tucker.
Christ. Yeah, it's like the Dodgers outfield in 3 years.
Carlos Correa will represent Team Puerto Rico. And let's see if anybody else has confirmed. Don't see anything. Jose Altuve will play for Venezuela. And then the Team USA coaching staff is Mark DeRosa as the manager, Jerry Manuel as the bench coach, Andy Pettitte as the pitching coach, Ken Griffey Jr. as the hitting coach, Luke Collier as the first base coach, Dino Ebel as the third base coach, and Dave Righetti as the bullpen coach.
Andy Pettitte offering muscle lubricants as well to other pitchers.
Whatever works. All in.
Weird. Weird how some of those Yankees.
Those damn teams. Yankees.
Weird. It's always those guys.
Always those dudes. It never fails that right before roster cutdowns, Matt, becomes hashtag Howie season. And he does it again. Swindles the Saints as C.J. Gardner-Johnson, formerly known as Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, is now a Philadelphia Eagle.
Yeah.
One of the biggest shit talkers in the league. Famously last season got in the face of one Tom Brady, he's about 4 inches shorter than, just arms crossed in Tom's face.
And about 31 years younger than.
Yeah. I felt like this was a highway robbery trade. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is 24 years old, and you gave up 2, later round draft picks for him in future drafts to get a guy that's going to start at safety for the Eagles this year. I was blown away at what the return was. It was Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and a 7th round pick in 2025 will go to the come from the Saints in exchange for a 5th round pick from the Eagles in 2023 and the later of the Eagles 2 6th round picks in 2024.
Yeah. It definitely speaks a little bit to, I think, where the Eagles see themselves, not just for this year, but the next 2 or 3 years.
Yes.
Because Eagles have quietly, by the way, too, become a much younger team. We were talking, 2 or 3 years ago about teams getting a little old, especially around the years a little bit, but quietly have trimmed it down and are in a much better spot for the future. So I like it.
I like the move a lot. Roster cutdowns obviously happen. The practice squad was announced as well. And, the NFL season is upon us. Next week, things get underway for real as the Eagles take on the Detroit Lions in Detroit on Sunday, September 11th. So, Matt, I figured we'd do our preseason predictions, go around the NFL. Let's go wins and losses for each team where we expect them to be, and we'll look back on this in February, be absolutely wrong when our Super Bowl predictions are completely wrong. But looking at the landscape of the NFL now, everybody's roster's trimmed down. Which division would you like to start with?
I opened up the NFL app, NFL Score app, and it started me on the AFC East. So I think that is where we're starting.
Seems perfect. So the AFC East, Jets, Bills, Dolphins, Patriots. I I mean, Jets won't have Zach Wilson to start the year. Buffalo seem like the odds-on favorite to win that division. Miami, kind of the dark horse, off-season darling team,
Yes.
where they made the moves to go out and improve. And then New England's kind of just New England. I'm sure they'll stick around and, be a wild card team. If not, surprise some people. But for the Jets, how do you see them finishing 2022?
Don't have a lot of faith in the Jets. Don't have a lot of faith in Zach Wilson. I actually think Zach Wilson being out injured to start the season might be, might be kind of nice. I don't know. I think this is a team that is probably 2 years away from being competitive, like really competitive. And this is a very challenging division. I see this team topping out at like 5 or 6 wins. I just don't see I don't see a lot here. There's some good talent on this team though. I'll say that. They have they obviously draft Breece Hall, who catches a lot of eyes, which if you're into fantasy. And he is an exciting player, but I just think they've had some O-line trouble as well, some injuries, so not sure I'm in on it with the Jets.
Yeah, I'm right there. I have them at about 5-6 wins. Not having your franchise quarterback to start the year is tough, especially if it's going to be...
Well, your franchise quarterback, especially.
If it's going to be Joe Flacco or Mike White, that's pretty tough.
Well, I forget what receiver was talking about the difference between Joe Flacco and Zach Wilson. Said, well, Joe Flacco throws balls that are like receiver friendly, that you can like catch. It's like, wow, that is
that's tough.
that's a little bit of an indictment, I would say.
So that is the Jets. They released our guy Will Parks this week, so not too high on the Jets. The Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs.
Is it possible to love a man more that I've never met than Josh Allen? I don't know what it is. Josh Allen could recruit me into war, I think, and I would go. I think this team is very good. I think, for me personally, should have been in the Super Bowl last year, and frankly, I think they were the best team I watched in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Bar none. I think they put on just two of the best offenses. They just got outdone and outworked a little bit by the Chiefs, and made some mistakes in that game. But I think this is like a 12-win team. I think floor for them, barring just bad injuries, to Josh Allen and other key players, outside of those crazy opportunities, I think even then this is like a 10 minimum win team. But I think 12 wins is probably where this team settles. I just think they're so good. You have I think some interesting additions in the offseason. They'll get some key defensive players back too at some point this year too. I think that went a little under the radar. They had some injuries there, so I love the Bills. I would love to see them succeed. I think their fans deserve it so much, and I love Josh Allen. I love watching this team.
I just my one ask of the Bills is to with your draft prospects,
Jesus,
have a little bit better of a vetting process.
Yeah, but you know what?
They made up for it.
They played no games,
which was very nice to see, especially with everything going on with that team in Cleveland as well.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm kind of on the same page. I think the Bills, they're going to win 13 games this year. Josh Allen is the truth. People doubted him from day one. They have the weapons around him. They added Von Miller in the offseason, and Von Miller still seems to be recruiting one Odell Beckham Jr. to come play for the Bills later this year. So it would not shock me if the Bills are riding high into that AFC Championship game with a ticket to the Super Bowl just right in front of them. So I'm going to go 13 wins for the Bills. Matt, your Miami Dolphins.
Over-under is 9 for the Dolphins. Maybe the hardest team to predict.
Yes.
I'm going to go over. I think this could be a 10-win team.
I'm right there with you with 10.
I don't know that they'll be blowing the doors off people, but I think people have also not given them enough credit, especially again, I think they've made good moves this offseason. Chase Edmonds, obviously Tyreek Hill, a few receivers on the periphery there. They've brought a lot of those key pieces on defense back. I think there's a lot to like about the Dolphins, and they were very competitive last season. I know they started out very poorly, but turned around quick. I think this is obviously a make or break it year for Tua, but I see a pathway for this team to get 10 wins. I don't see the extreme negativity that some people do.
I agree. And, this is the year for Tua to prove that he can do it. He's got all the weapons around him, new offensive-minded head coach. I think 10 wins is very feasible for this Dolphins team. The New England Patriots, Mac Jones experience. They add Devontae Parker to the mix. I don't know that this is going to be a fun year for the Patriots fans. Sorry to Pat Pitts. Sorry to this man's, but
they'll be all right.
I think the Patriots are a 9-win team this year.
Yeah, the over-under is 8.5. I'm going to say 8. I just think I don't know what it is about the Patriots that I just don't think is very good. I think they might be, again, like, they did a pretty decent regular season last year and got exposed quite horribly in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that, Mac Jones is a rookie in that situation, but there's something about the Patriots that I don't believe in.
Yeah, they don't seem like they have that dog in them, if you will.
They don't have that edge, and
No.
I don't know what it is. You also have Matt Patricia back, and I think
Terrible.
that takes away a win.
Yeah.
Having him just like in your organization, I think is like a negative balance on your account. So
The man notorious for writing on a laminated sheet of paper with a pencil.
he's a genius. So
Let's go to the AFC North. The Ravens, the Steelers, the Cleveland Browns, and the defending AFC champions Cincinnati Bengals. The Baltimore Ravens met. They signed Kenyon Drake today. Their mascot continued the Ravens' preseason injury tradition. Lamar Jackson talking about the Miami Dolphins being his second favorite team growing up.
Lamar,
Tons of Twitter rumblings of Lamar loving Miami.
listen. I'm gonna tell you right now. If Lamar Jackson ever ends up as a Dolphin, I am ascending to God. Like,
Matt will turn into the SpongeBob meme of just floating.
Christ, I would love nothing more. I love Lamar. I love this Ravens team. People, I think, so much of the discourse around this team, I think, got lost to the fact that they had 4 season-ending injuries a week before this. This team could not stay healthy at any point. Even Lamar himself, struggled through injury last season. So many key pieces lost. They got a lot of that back. I like what they've done. You can maybe ask some questions about the offense this year and maybe how that'll look. I think they're making some interesting bets. I'm going 11 wins for the Ravens. I think this team is just amazing. I think you're going to see a maybe not quite MVP level from Lamar Jackson. I don't know if he'll reach those heights, because that just was such I think a little bit of an outlier, but he has that in him. The ceiling for Lamar is MVP. It's very similar to Josh Allen, whereas if you see him at his best, he's just game breaking. We've seen that so many times in his career, and I am 100% willing to bet on that.
I'm right there with you. 11 wins for the Ravens seems like the perfect number. Will it be enough to win the division? We'll see. I think this division is very good across the board. But 11 wins, they added some really solid rookies in the draft, and their defense just year in and year out just continues to be that gold standard. So I'm going to go 11 wins for the Ravens. The Pittsburgh Steelers, post Ben Roethlisberger, looks like it's going to be Mitch Trubisky for week 1. I don't know. This team has never finished below 500 under Mike Tomlin.
Correct.
Which I think is beyond impressive. And Steelers fans who complain about Mike Tomlin, fuck you.
I'm going to tell you, that grass is not greener.
No.
I'm gonna tell you, it really doesn't get much better than that. I think this is an 8 or 9 win team, honestly. I just think any team with the quarterback lack of talent that you have here, it is hard for me to say that you are. Because to me, 10 wins is you are a playoff team. You may not necessarily make the playoffs as a 10-win team, but I'm not sure I see it. Trubisky had some success with the Bears, right? But I think that defense was probably better than this Steelers defense, when he was able to at least get them into the playoffs. Better coach for sure.
Josh Allen last year.
Better coach than, Trubisky had in Chicago, of course, but I think that is a huge question mark for me, especially even if you just look within this division. He's much more on Jacoby Brissett's level than he is on Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson. And to me, I I think it's hard to win with that. I really do.
Yeah, I'm going 9 wins for the Steelers, and I'm giving the 9 because of Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
He's such an X factor in just winning that I just don't see them finishing below 500. So I'm going to give them 9 wins. The Cleveland Browns, Matt.
1. That's what I wish. Cleveland, I'm going to go 7. I think Deshaun obviously being out for effectively, 3/4 of the season, as much as a terrible human he is, and even this, he also hasn't played in a very long time now.
Over a year.
That is a long time to just take a sabbatical,
Yeah.
and not be a part of playing week in and week out and practicing. I know obviously people can stay in shape and all that, but I think that's a good thing. There's no guarantee he walks right back,
Right.
and it's fine, flawless. We've seen so many times when quarterbacks or big star players move, there's usually 3 or 4 weeks where it takes some time. We saw it with Stafford last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brady even, they with the Buccaneers when he first moved. It is not a seamless transition all the time. And again, I don't think this team is offensively super talented. Defensively, they're good. They still have a lot of great weapons, a lot of great pieces, but there's no one on this
Do have Amari
offense.
Cooper.
Amari Cooper is fine, but outside of that, you obviously have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, which is a great two-headed backfield. But again, you have Jacoby Brissett as your quarterback, and that for me.
And as much as I love Donovan Peoples-Jones, he's their number 2.
that is just not the ideal situation to find yourself in. And I think 7 wins is where they're at.
I have them at 5. I just don't. The division they're in is insanely tough. Even with the Steelers having the quarterback question that they have, their defense is still super good. You got to play the Bengals twice. You got to play the Ravens twice. And everybody's going to be coming for the Browns.
Yes.
You have a target on your back that people are just going to want to beat the ever-living shit out of you. So I'm going to give the Browns 5 wins this year. And that leaves us with the Bengals.
Bengals. I am going. Tough team to read. I'm going 9 wins for the Bengals. I love them. I love Joey Burrow. I love so much about this team. I can't help but feel that last year was just some overperformance. I don't know that you can depend on what did you have, a 70% completion rate,
Yeah.
Especially at deep throws as well. I don't know that that's Joe Burrow for the rest of his career. I don't know that Jamar Chase is breaking off just game breaking, and he has that ability, right? But I think last year was a slight outlier in that respect. I still think Zach Taylor's not a good coach. Outside of that, there's a lot to love about this team. I just think this is a very challenging division. I think they had the capacity to be a 10 or 11 win team, but I think 9 is where I'm feeling most comfortable.
I have them at 11 wins. The division winner is going to come down to who wins the head-to-head between them and the Ravens. I still think they're stupid talented across the board.
Yeah, their over-under is 10, so
it's pretty solid.
We've split that there.
I still think they're super talented. Will they have the post-Super Bowl season hangover? We'll see. But I think all 3 phases, they have so much talent that it's going to be tough for them to...
It is the ultimate talent versus coaching,
Yeah.
I think, struggle this season.
That takes us to the AFC South, the Houston Texans, Tennessee Titans, Indianapolis Colts, and Jacksonville Jaguars, where this might be the worst division in football this year.
I think it is. Texans, I'm going 4 wins, and that is their objective this season, is to not be good. It's just a team that does not have a ton of really heavy NFL talent on it. I don't know what else there is to say about the Texans.
Yeah, I'm right there with you with 4 wins. They're just not good, and that's, like you said, that's their objective. They're going to win 1 more game than they did all preseason when they went 3-0. The Tennessee Titans. New era at wide receiver, Robert Woods and Treylon Burks.
Yeah.
No more A.J. Brown. Interesting squad.
Interesting squad. You have Derrick Henry returning. We've seen him play at least a little bit off of that foot injury, so I think that gives you some comfort. But Ryan Tannehill, some question marks there.
Malik Willis right behind him.
I think this is This is an 8-win team. I think this is largely some like division inflation.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the reason they got to the big record they did last year was just this division is not super talented, but I still think they have talent. I still like Mike Vrabel as a coach, but I think this is like a holding pattern season for the Titans, in my opinion.
I have them at 9 wins. I think they'll finish, one game above 500. That might be enough for them to win the division and get into the playoffs as a division winner. So I'll take 9 wins for the Titans. The Colts, Matt Ryan at quarterback, trying to bounce back from the Carson Wentz experience.
Yeah. Again, just a talented team around them. I just think what you think about the Colts, I think, depends a lot about what you think about Matt Ryan still. And I know that the Falcons over the last 2 seasons haven't been amazing and haven't always been well coached, but you have seen some regression in his ability. Similar to the Titans, though, I think they just have enough talent and coaching to, when you consider the division that they're in, it's hard for me to see not getting less than like 3 wins between just the Texans and Jaguars. I have them at 9. It's not going to be enough to win the division, but I don't believe in this team very much.
Yeah, I have them at 8 wins. That offense is gonna go through Jonathan Taylor. As he goes, they go. How much can you rely on him to do what he did last year again? Plus, Matt Ryan, if he's not playing well, Nick Foles is breathing down his neck. We know what Nick Foles has done.
That is the wild card there.
So I'll go 8 wins for the Colts. That leaves us with Dougie P, Trevor Lawrence,
14 wins, baby,
and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Man, I'm gonna go 7. I think the Jaguars. I think we have not given it enough thought about how awful Urban Meyer was last year, and just what a toxic drag he was on that team. In pretty much every way possible. And just having like a competent NFL coach, I think, will make the difference. Spent a lot of money this offseason improving this team. I think you will see. 7 doesn't sound like a lot, but when you consider just where they were last year, I think 7 will be a big improvement. You hope to see more out of Trevor Lawrence this season. And yeah, I think this is like a good transition year for the Jaguars, but still lacking some talent in some areas.
Yeah, I have them at 8 wins as well. I'm kind of high on the Jaguars this year in terms of just like watching them bounce back. They're going to get Travis Etienne for the first time in that backfield with Trevor Lawrence again. And they were, besties at Clemson, so we'll see how that connection translates to the NFL with the quarterback running back dynamic. We'll see if Christian Kirk ever lives up to the $84 million he earned this offseason. They did trade Laviska Shenault, which broke my heart a little bit. He's one of my favorite players, but he's going to the Panthers. But I think this defense, too, is being a little slept on. I think there's some heavy hitters on the Jaguars' defense. But I have the Jags at 8 wins, kind of tied with the Colts in that division. Which brings us to the arguably best division in the entire NFL, the AFC West, the Las Vegas Raiders, Denver Broncos, Kansas City Chiefs, and Los Angeles Chargers. Let's start with the Raiders, Matt, as they went 4-0 this preseason.
Oh, man, I'm going to go 6 wins for the Raiders. I think this defense is bad. I think we'll see that come to fruition quite a bit. I think Davante Adams is clearly very good, but you have a new coach. I think this is just more a symptom of being in perhaps the hardest division in all of football than anything. There's something about this team that I don't believe in. I don't know what it is. It's hard to put my thumb on it, but I am out on the Raiders pretty fully, if I'm being honest.
I have them at 8 wins. I think, like you said, Davante Adams being there is huge. I still like Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, but their defense is rough. That defense stinks, and you have
to play Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, and Patrick Mahomes 6 times a year.
And Josh McDaniels is your head coach.
Hard to escape from that.
Yeah.
6
tough.
wins in the AFC West is like 8 wins in most other divisions.
They did improve the defensive line. I'll say that. Their
Right.
D-line has improved quite a bit. Chandler Jones going out there, I think, is a big improvement for them, but their secondary, I think, is not that great. Their linebackers are not that great, and, it's been a while since we've seen a dominant Khalil Mack. So, we'll see what happens. with the Raiders. Denver, Russell Wilson, Broncos country, let's ride. Going to be an interesting season in Denver for sure. They have so much talent. Obviously, they lost Tim Patrick for the season, but their wide receivers are super talented. I don't know how I feel about the Broncos, though.
I'm going 9 wins. I think this is a good team. I think people have sold themselves a little hard on Russell Wilson. I know that might contradict what I was saying a little about the Raiders, but I think it's hard for us to separate Russell Wilson from the Seahawks and some of the problems there, and that I think don't want to ascribe any blame to Russell Wilson. It's an interesting bet that both the Seahawks and the Broncos have made here, where the Seahawks were like kind of fine getting out maybe a year early on Russell Wilson, right, and getting a good haul for him, whereas the Broncos, are betting that this season or next is at least leading them to a Super Bowl, which they've done in the past. They do have pedigree at doing this. I just think, again, it's a very hard division. I don't think defensively this team is super talented. You also have some new coaching here too. Like, I don't know that it's just not guaranteed to me that this team is like great.
New owners too.
Right.
Condoleezza Rice.
Great.
I also have the Broncos at 9 wins. I think, it's going to be an adjustment period for everybody. We'll see how it goes. But I'm going to go 9 wins there. The Kansas City Chiefs, shout out to Isaiah Pacheco, making the 53-man roster, Vineland's own. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, looking to continue their success together. How do you see the Chiefs playing out, Chief?
11 wins for our Chiefs. I just think this is still a very good team. I'm not betting against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, maybe ever. Obviously, we know about some of the talent lost, but I still think this is just a great team, and I'm in.
Yeah, I have them at 11 as well. Will it be enough to win the division? We'll see. But I think the talent is still there across the board, offensively, defensively, and they have one of the best kickers in football as well, which is always a weapon, which leads us to the Los Angeles Chargers.
I'm going 10 wins. This is everyone's darling, and I get it. We all love them, but every year they get hyped up. People forget they had one of the most embarrassing losses. I think the Colts really saved them. I think, with the loss they had, the collapse they had, but couldn't find a way to make their way to the playoffs. They find a way, I think, to self-sabotage at times. Justin Herbert is great, but he's already being anointed as like the MVP of this year. I don't like that. They did make huge moves defensively. Love it, but I just think it's still... And 10 wins is good. It's not like I'm predicting them to really fall off here, but I just think people have gotten really carried away with the Chargers, and I'm gonna fade off of that a little bit.
I have the Chargers at 11 wins as well. Kind of similar to the Bengals and Ravens in the AFC North. It's going to come down to those head-to-head matchups with the Chargers and Chiefs, which those matchups are always electric. They always go back and forth with one another, so they're going to mean a little bit more this year if you want to win the AFC West. Moving to the NFC East, Matt, the Cowboys, the Giants, the Eagles, and the Washington Commanders. No team in the NFC East has repeated as division champs since the Eagles all the way back in 2003 and 2004. Last year, the Cowboys won the division. They traded away a bunch of talent. They lost their starting left tackle effectively for the entire season, and as of today, they are allegedly bringing in one Eagles legend, Jason Peters, the 40-year-old wonder, on a visit to potentially bring him in to play left tackle. I have zero faith in the Cowboys this year. I think they are just an accident waiting to happen. Shout out Stephen A. Smith. I have the Cowboys with 6 wins this year.
6. I have them at 9. I still think there's enough talent on this team. I think more than what you said, though, Mike McCarthy really really draws me out with this team. You look at them last year, though, and this, obviously it was slightly different. Some different injuries, some different talent there, but was still a very capable team, at least in the regular season. I will never forget Dak's 20-second scramble to end the game. Just one of the most bizarre endings I've ever seen in my life. I still think a very capable regular season team. Dak is still a very good quarterback, and CeeDee Lamb can maybe take a leap this year. I think Zeke, too, is not completely fallen off a cliff. If Tony Pollard obviously waiting to spell him. I think defensively too, you'll see this team regress because they had some just like clearly outlier stuff happening last year in terms of especially turnovers. But 9 wins, and which could be enough to win the division with the NFC East. Who knows? Like that's the way it goes.
The New York Football Giants, your brother dubbed them already 17-0 this year. This team's a dumpster fire once again in my book. How do you see the Giants?
I have 6 wins for the Giants. I think this could be like a good 6 though. I think maybe they might be one of these teams that's like kind of in every game, and they were a little bit last year too, where they obviously they had some tough losses, but this was a team that hung around a few times. Let's not forget they almost beat the Chiefs in Kansas City last year. I think this you have a better coach now. I don't know, obviously Daniel Jones is a huge question mark. There's a lot of like talent issues on this team outside of Saquon Barkley. You don't really have any. Like Kadarius Toney, if he can stay healthy, sure, but that's like a huge if. But I think 6 wins is doable for this team, but I still think you're like a year in transition here. You're building in the right direction, I would say, though, if you're the Giants.
I have them at 5 wins, simply because Daniel Jones is your quarterback. You signed Kenny Golladay to that massive deal, and he's just effectively disappeared since arriving in a Giants uniform. And I just don't see the defensive talent at all, really, on this team, especially since James Bradbury is now in an Eagles uniform. So I'm going to go 5 wins for the Giants. The Philadelphia Eagles.
I'm going 11 wins for the Eagles. I think this is a great team. I think I'm not even doing the homer thing here.
Yeah.
I think they also have a great schedule. That's been talked about a lot, but they do have a favorable schedule. And you look at them last year, especially the second half of the season. The postseason is where you'll really find out about this team. Mm-hmm. But I think this team is loaded with talent. They made big aggressive moves this offseason, and I think 11 wins is doable for them.
I think, like you said, the schedule is very favorable for them. They have the Cardinals before DeAndre Hopkins comes back, which I think is big. You play the Lions this year. I think this division is not that great, where you got to play the Giants twice, you got to play the Cowboys twice, and Washington twice. I'm going 12 wins for the Eagles, and I think they fly high into the postseason. And like you said, it'll be put up or shut up once the playoffs get around for this team, but Howie Roseman did a phenomenal job up until just yesterday building this roster, so I'm excited for a 12-win season for the Eagles in my book. And then the Carson Wentz-led Washington Commanders, the final team here in the NFC East.
Oh, man. I am going to go 5 wins. I don't think this team is very good. I don't love Carson Wentz. I don't know who would. And I think this team is kind of riding off of like some defensive stuff from 2 years ago. They're not going to have Chase Young for part of the season. I think there's just huge question marks here for me. And I've paid a lot of attention to the Commanders over the years because pretty much every season I've ended up with Terry McLaurin on a fantasy team, and it is the most frustrating position to find yourself in. Just not a very good team.
Yeah, I have them at 5 wins as well. I just don't see any success for them, really. So, yeah, Washington, welcome to the basement, fellas.
Well, they gotta make it even with the Nationals.
The NFC North, the Chicago Bears, the Green Bay Packers, the Hard Knocks-led Detroit Lions, and the Minnesota Vikings. I think it's another bad division in football. The Chicago Bears might be the worst team in football.
They might be. I think they could surprise a little bit. I think Justin Fields, too. You have a second-year quarterback. And certainly talent-wise, especially offensively, hovering between 3 and 4. I'm going to go 4. I just think... I think Justin Fields can get you to 4. And a new coach, too. Like, I think there's some goodness here. Still some, I think, juice to wring out of some of these players. But it is a bad roster. And I wouldn't be shocked if this is the worst team in football.
Yeah, I think this team has some inner turmoil as well. The front office not starting off on the best foot with Roquan Smith, who is arguably your most talented player. I have this team at 3 wins. You still got to play Aaron Rodgers twice a year.
And he owns them. So
yeah, so I'm going to go 3 wins for the Bears. I think it's going to be a very tough year in Chicago, which leads us to Aaron Rodgers, ayahuasca, and the Green Bay Packers.
Off of Percocet. And I'm going to go 12 for the Packers. They've just done this every year. I don't know. They obviously lost Devontae Adams. That's going to be the big talking point, but they made a lot of big moves defensively. I think the defense of this team is what's really going to drive the Packers forward. I think especially a lot of frustration the way the playoffs went last year. I think that was the focus this offseason, so I like it. And it's hard to bet against Aaron Rodgers at this point. I mean, the dude is like high off DMT and Percocet.
What a
you
combo.
try and stop him because I can't.
I think that might be a better core than his receiving core this year. I'm going to go 11 wins for the Packers simply because of the unknown of their wide receiver core. Obviously the past few years you've had Devontae Adams and you know what he brings to the table and how he can enhance Aaron Rodgers in a way. But this wide receiver core is very, unknown. You have a rookie who's looking to be that wide receiver one for them. But I mean, this division's bad, so it'll accrue wins for them. So I'm going to go 11 wins for the Packers. The kneecap biting, hard knocks living, Detroit-based Lions.
In a lot of close games last year, for being one of the worst teams in the NFL, we're actually like sneaky, pretty competitive. This is everyone's like darling, like sleeper pick and like dark horse pick.
Mm-hmm.
I see them topping out like 6 or 7. I will grant them 7, but I think this is still a team that is within maybe a year or two away for being. You still have Jared Goff at quarterback, which is a concern for me personally.
You have DeAndre Swift. You have T.J. Hawkinson. I'm a big fan of Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're not going to have Jameson Williams until about week 7 or 8, which is unfortunate for them. I have them at 7 wins as well, which in terms of the Detroit Lions, that's like, going to the Super Bowl. Yes. For the lack of success they've had over the past decade or so. So I'm going to go 7 wins for the Lions, which leaves us to the you like that, or should I say you like that, Minnesota Vikings, led by Kirk Coupons, who has once again caught the vid over this training camp period. And if he dies, he dies, as he once said. So the Minnesota Vikings, Matt, will finish with how many wins in your book?
Yeah, new man on the Minnesota Vikings. New coach here. I think could bring out a bit. It's easy to take and throw some punches at Kirk Cousins, but this offense has the potential to be very good.
Yeah, Jalen Reagor now in this offense.
That's the cup overfloweth now with talent. I'm going 9 wins for the Vikings, which could be good enough for a wild card spot in the NFC. I like the offense a lot here, and it's a division I think where you could vacuum up, 2 or 3 wins with some ease. And I like the coach. I like where they're headed.
Yeah, I have them at 9 wins as well. You got to play the Lions. You got to play the Bears twice. That's potentially 4 wins right there. So I'm going to go 9 wins for the Vikings, which brings us down south to the NFC South. The Carolina Panthers, the Atlanta Falcons, New Orleans Saints, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Another very bad division. I think it's going to come down to 2 teams, Tampa Bay and insert team you want to insert there, but the Carolina Panthers, a lot of revamping this offseason. Baker Mayfield in the fold. They just traded for Laviska
5 wins.
Baker's comments not resonating with you, or he wants to fuck up the Browns?
This is a Matt Rule disrespect as well.
I have Carolina at 6 wins. I think they have pieces. They don't have a complete team.
Yes.
The Atlanta Falcons, now led by one Marcus Mariota.
Maybe sneaky one of the worst teams in the NFL as well here. Just not a ton of talent. I'm also going to go 5 wins for the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you as well. I don't think the Falcons are moving any needles, although I am intrigued by the reunion of Marcus Mariota and Arthur Smith. Not that it's going to lead to any success because Marcus Mariota has one guy to throw the ball to, and that's Kyle Pitts. The New Orleans Saints, who I don't know how to read this team whatsoever this year. I think they are Very strange. They are one of the biggest money laundering teams with that Taysom Hill contract on their hands.
9 wins. Think they get offensive pieces back. Got a new coaching year. Maybe let Jameis Winston off the leash a little bit, But I like Chris Olave. I think he could be a sneaky, not rookie of the year, but I think a name you should familiarize yourself with. Alvin Kamara looks good. I think the Saints have a routine of just kind of being in the mix always. It's just sort of been their MO.
I'm going to go 8 wins for the Saints. There's just so many question marks in my book about them. I don't really know how to read them, so I'm going to go right down the middle. 8 wins will be the New Orleans Saints. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady is back. Allegedly did not go on The Masked Singer. But that's exactly what they would want you to say if you went on The Masked Singer. But you lose Gronk this year, but you gain Julio Jones. Tampa Bay still loaded. Obviously, new head coach with Bruce Arians moving into a front office role. Going to be an interesting year in Tampa Bay.
You've lost some offensive line talent, which is not a great start. And you have some, Chris Godwin uncertainty, Mike Evans uncertainty, at least for the first few weeks of the season. I'm going to go 10 wins for the Buccaneers. This is a team I don't think really cares all that much about regular season. Just win the division and Tom will take care of the rest. That's their aim.
I have them at 10 wins as well. Bad division. They should probably sweep their division, so that's 6 wins right there. If not, 5 if they split with New Orleans. But I think Tampa will get 10 wins under their belt. And then finishing up the NFC West, San Francisco, Arizona, the Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams, and the Seattle Seahawks. Let's start off with the Trey Lance-led, Jimmy G backed up San Francisco 49ers.
Ooh, I'm going to go 10 wins for the 49ers. I like a lot about this team. Trey Lance, essentially a rookie quarterback. That gives you some pause, but it's hard to just bet against Kyle Shanahan. It's hard to bet against this offense. Kyle Shanahan has made some really bad quarterbacks look very good. So even if Trey Lance isn't the best, he'll still be put in a position to succeed. I like the defense. I like the schedule too, especially right out of the gate. And this is a team that just wins games. I don't know. They just do. They roll through opponents.
I'm going to go 9 wins for the 49ers. Trey Lance is just kind of it's almost an unknown, so you don't know what you're going to get. Obviously, Debo's back, which is big for them. But they just they cut Trey Sermon, everybody's fantasy football darling from last season, and a lot of just running back turnover with the 49ers recently. So some inconsistencies there when it's a team that is predicated on just using a plethora of running backs in a rotation. But I'm going to go 9 wins. Should be in the mix potentially for a playoff spot, which leads us to the Call of Duty Cardinals. Arizona, Matt.
Oh, man. This is a tough one. They started out so well last year. A lot of things changed, too, when Hopkins gets hurt, when Kyler gets hurt. You're obviously not going to have DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6 games. I'm going 9 wins, but I think this team really has the potential to be better than that. But there's still just there's a lot of uneasiness around this team. This is a sneaky implosion team, perhaps waiting to happen.
Yeah, this team's tough. The thing I look at mostly is their defense. They're kind of still trying to piece together a secondary.
Not the division to be doing that necessarily.
They did acquire an all-name team player from the Jets off of waivers to play corner for them, Javelin Guidry.
Great.
I'm going to go 9 wins as well for the Cardinals. I think, there's a lot of question marks defensively for them, more so than the offense. And you got to see how you weather the DeAndre Hopkins-less storm for the first 6 games. So I'm going to go 9 wins for the Cardinals. The defending champs, Matt, the LA Rams. New pieces in the fold. Allen Robinson effectively replacing Robert Woods. No Sony Michel now. He just signed with the Chargers. But the Rams, they just have talent on top of talent on top of talent. And I think they're poised to win this division again.
Yeah, I'm going 11 wins for the Rams. I think this team is just very good still. Hard to bet against. Don't have a very easy schedule, I'll say that. But I like where they are. and not worried about Matt Stafford's elbow.
Yeah, I'm going to go 12 wins for the Rams. I think they are top to bottom, still insanely talented. Obviously not the same team they were last year with Von Miller being gone, but I like their roster a lot, and I think they're going to be successful once again because that's just what the Rams do. They just go and get talent. They don't give a shit about how much they pay that talent, and that's going to lead to 12 wins for the Rams. You said 12 as well, or?
I said 11 for the Rams.
So that leaves us with Geno Smith, Pete Carroll, and the Seattle Seahawks.
Quietly maybe one of the worst teams. And I think by design, they're looking at this draft and saying, well, I think it is under 5 for them. It's hard for me to think of Geno Smith with Drew Lock backing him up, of this team being very successful. No clear running back at this situation. Defensively, I'm gonna go 4 wins. I'm not hopeful about the Seahawks team in any capacity.
I'm gonna give them 5 wins simply because I think Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf add up to 5 wins for this team in the current state they're in. Seattle's not gonna be very good this year, and I wouldn't be shocked if they win less than 5 games, especially in that division. But that's our breakdown of our win totals. We'll look back at that in December and January and see how wrong we were for everybody. But going to be a fun NFL season, and I think next week, Matt, since it is still leading into football season, we'll do a podcast best ball to appease the people. But let's get into the other football that is taking place. The Philadelphia Union. Still in that hunt, Matt. They are on a tear since the last time we recorded. They broke an MLS record. Most 6-0, most wins by 6 or more goals in MLS history. All done within the last 10 games.
Insane.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah. The guys that Carranza Ura trio, Curtains Trident as it has been called, has just been flaying opponents. Still chasing LAFC. It's going to be hard. We've talked about this. They're going to have to make their own mistakes, and Philly's going to have to capitalize on that. But really, it's about just staying top of your conference. Also, sneaky staying above Austin, because they, you'd like potentially Austin and LA seem like the most likely teams to be making it out of the West. So you'd like to hopefully kind of. And Austin has really had LA's number this year.
Mm-hmm.
You saw it last week when they played. Really got it in their heads as well, but it was just outperformed them. And Austin's a scary team. He'd like to guarantee home field advantage, should they be the team to advance. I like where the Union are headed. It's great times.
One of 3 teams in all of MLS with 50-plus points now. Only 3 points behind LAFC, which I believe they play tonight as well.
LA has Houston
at 8:30.
And Austin has Portland. Union's on 2-1 right now, up against Atlanta at halftime. It's Dollar Dog night, so I hope people are
getting them dogs,
slurping tubes as it should be.
Get that dog in you.
Yeah, get that dog in you. But Union are trending in a really good way. I'm looking. This is best Union team of my lifetime, and you just look at the ability to score, and it's terrifying. Especially when you consider where they were at the start of the season. Still just as good defensively.
Yes.
The defensive numbers for this team. But they've become a little bit more of a direct team, which they haven't always been. They're happy to concede space to other teams and counterattack. And, they have, I think, the attacking pieces now to really work on that and actually make it more than just a viable strategy, like a really devastating one. They might have the best counterattack in the league right now. So they are a dangerous, dangerous team.
100%. And we have the names of potentially 3 very dangerous teams, Matt. Survivor coming back September 21st. We've looked at the cast a bit. Now we have the tribe names. Season 43. We have the Yellow and Green Tribe if you will. There's different tree crests on their logos, but yellow tribe will be known as Baka, B-A-K-A. We have the Cocoa tribe, which will be blue. And then we have the Vessi tribe, which is going to be red. And here are the tribe divvy-ups. We'll edit this and post for the YouTube viewers so you can see each tribe. But interesting tribe names, interesting tribe breakups. Very intrigued to see how
Getting bad vibes off Cocoa Tribe, I'll say that.
I agree.
I don't know what it is. Getting bad vibes there. I'm interested.
We are 3 weeks away.
3 weeks away. 3 weeks away from being 3 weeks away.
It is, it's an exciting time. Survivor coming back. Football on its way back. Phillies are in a playoff hunt. The Union are top of the East. Vibes are vibing, if you will.
The fall is falling.
And we'll have a new episode of The Dan Russo Show premiering on the YouTube channel. It was a very successful premiere last Thursday. So we'll be doing that again Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on our YouTube channel. The Dan Russo Show will premiere. And for anybody potentially that will be in Boston, Massachusetts this coming weekend, myself and DJ will be up there for the PLL postseason, the quarterfinals at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. So if you're there, come say what's up. And hopefully the Phils get back on track tonight, because we all need that in our lives to make sure people don't give up on this team. You can't do that. It's just, they're too good. They're going to be in the playoffs. It's going to be okay. That's all we got for you guys tonight. Make sure you are following us on the socials at Underground PHI, which will be where we announce, Matt, before we wrap, what should our leg of the YouTube Gauntlet Challenge be for us to perform, do, whatever it may be, once we hit that illustrious 1,000 subscribers.
Man, haven't given this much thought.
Can be something that we just, brainstorm, and then next week we unveil on the show, which is why you got to follow us at Underground PHI. Next week we'll have our leg of the Gauntlet Challenge ready for the people. At Underground PHI, Twitter, Instagram. Follow Matt at Matt Castorina. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. And, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. You get full video episodes of every single podcast on our network over there. Smash that like button, ring the bell icon, and, of course, comment down below your thoughts on the Phils, the Union, the Eagles, Survivor, whatever it may be. Comment down below on YouTube and get that conversation flowing. Big shout out to our sponsors who make this show happen. Main Auto LLC, Ducharme's Pro Foot, Security 21 Security Systems, Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated, the Dental Wellness Center of Vineland, Tomahawk Shades, Pickup, Kenwood Beer, and Bino Board. All of their information is linked in the show notes on audio and in the description on YouTube. This has been episode number 460 of Underground Sports Philadelphia. I'm your boy KB from my man Matt. Until next week, we are signing off. Peace.